My bean crop is a joy. I don't want to be dependent on a system and a chain. This ground's stony.
So this is the neighborhood.
The idea is that you get a bit of straw, and then you can do all sorts of japes and tricks. I can't see how you're going to get a bread more authentic than this in the Western world. It's good. Mm-hmm. When I was 20, I just felt like a complete alien. On the earth, you know.
This is all your work?
Yeah. This is what nobody gets to see. When I was young, I used to walk this walk every day. It's beautiful, look. This was rye. So the rye's for my bread, but I also get my roof. Maybe there might be one or two people learning, but it's not as fast as the older people dying and the knowledge being lost. Society completely stops. Basically, the lorries stop on the road.
How long would you last?
Well, I'd go all the way, wouldn't I? That's the idea.
Good morning, guys. Here in the beautiful countryside of Brittany, France. And today we're meeting up with a man who lives far out in those hills, mostly removed from the modern world. He grows his own food and lives in a self-sufficient way. I know that's a dream for many, to eat what comes from their land, to be removed from society to some degree. So today we're gonna get an inside look of what that lifestyle is like. Let's do this. How long have you lived out here?
30 years.
30 years?
Yep. And I came here when I was 7, so it's my 30th year here. I was born in York, so it was the north of England.
In York? Okay.
Yeah. Which way? So I haven't even thought about there's a lot to see. So this is against the deer. That was about 5 or 6 years ago. We got the garden just nice, and then the deer decided they wanted to eat it all. So we had 7 deer living just on our land. It was crazy.
So Samuel, I got the umbrella for the camera, but I'm guessing you don't walk around with this.
No, but you'll see why not, because 9 days out of 10 there's too much wind for an umbrella. And on top of that, you're going to see all these trees. You're going to have that brolly ripped to pieces by the end. But so.
Okay, so your parents moved out here just to get away from it all?
Yeah, more or less, I think. We never had any money. We always ran out of money on the mortgage of the house we had.
In the UK?
Yeah. And my mum liked travelling, changing the scenery. We came on a holiday and we thought, yeah, why not? And sold the house, bought a caravan, and we spent all the money we had whilst looking for a house, so we ended up by just buying a ruin. When I was 20, I just felt like a complete alien. On the earth, you know, felt weird. I needed like some appliance, some technology. Everything seemed so synthetic, you know. I needed shoes, I need clothes. I was living on a bit of land, I wasn't part of it. I think that's when the farming adventure started. It was an idea of trying to become wild. You know, the lack of information that I had when I was young. I was told about how destructive a human being was. It took me a long time to realise and to prove to myself a human being can just live similar to an animal on a bit of land, can work the land, it can have a whole ecosystem, you know, which lives thanks to the human being in a harmonious way.
Is there any good purpose for having ants out here?
I don't know, but nature does it, so it's got to be good. But it's part of soil regeneration, I think. This soil was like terrible.
It aerates the soil, right?
To me, everything nature does is good, but sometimes it takes a while as a human being to see the good benefits. I think nature can be very kind when it likes you, but it can be very horrible when it doesn't like you. If you haven't worked the soil, if it doesn't love you, you've got thorns, you know, if you come to a new area, you can have thorns and you can just get yourself ripped to pieces.
Right.
I mean, for me, I like to say that farming is, you know, it's love. That's what it is, it's love. And
so when you look at your soil, you're pretty happy with what you're seeing here?
No, this is still terrible. This field was just a catastrophe. It was farmed with big machines. All the organic matter is just taken out. I think that's the thing about modern farming. In my opinion, because basically the concept is hydroponic. You don't want a living soil. You want a soil that's sort of neutral, and then you can add what you want. You can't necessarily call it bad farming, because it's what they want. I mean, I don't add anything. I've got zero entrance. I've got zero
fertilizer?
Zero fertilizer. Nothing comes in. I cut the grass, I pile it up, and it composts into the soil. And okay, so we're going to come into the crop zone now.
So these are all of your fields, yeah?
Yeah, the thing is, I've got a really tiny farm. It's like 6 acres, but I've got 35 fields. Although I'm the smallest farmer in my village, I'm the biggest. If you just count fields, I'm actually the biggest because I've got 35 fields.
So do you feel more French or more British?
I've never felt British. I definitely don't feel French. I feel rural. I like the countryside. I think as soon as I go into a town, it makes me feel deeply depressed. I think particularly in the evening, if you see a town in the evening and all those lights, you can't live there. It's crazy. It's like one of these industrial pig sheds or something. You know, you've got a nice hard surface so it doesn't get muddy. You've got all these sort of animals in there stomping around, and everything has to be brought in, all the poo has to be taken out. It's like, yeah, you go into a pig shed and it's, you know, you feel at home. Maybe some pigs do, but not me. But no, I feel rural. As I said, I'm not a big traveller, but if you find yourself, you know, if I go sometimes you just find yourself in some village cafe and the person's staring at you and it's just basic and you say, yes, this is, you know, this is home. This is home. I feel comfortable with it. I'm just going to get my home. I feel comfortable with this. But no, I think it's basically, I'm happy to be in my geographical zone. I'm a Celt, really. I'm a Celt. My grandparents on my dad's side were Welsh.
Who lives out here? There are a few structures that I saw when I came up here.
My dad and my sister and me. We were 5. My mum died 7 years ago.
Okay.
And I've got one sister who's moved to London.
You're not married?
No.
Do you want to be married?
It's not priority number 1.
Okay.
I explain to every girl I meet that my first love's my land, but they're the good second place. No, but I think, you know, it's good. You don't jeopardise what's good. But anyway, this was rye. So that's our main cereal crop. I kind of figured that every civilization is based on a grain. Today, you know, you can have a big vegetable garden. Everybody says that you're self-sufficient. Veg is good in the summer, but actually, where do you get your grain from, you know? When I started doing it, I realised that nobody, in my area at least, can actually raise a grain crop from A to Z by hand.
So you're the only guy doing this out here?
That I claim, I like to say I'm the only person self-sufficient on grain in the Western world. I say it just in the hope someone's going to contradict me, but so far they haven't.
Okay, I'm sure this video will have someone contradicting.
I really hope it does.
In the comments below, we gotta break your claim.
Get in touch, because the thing about it is, if I'm wrong, get in touch, because what's tragic is when you're the only one doing it, there's so little information around. Every so often, I can't find information anywhere. You know, I'm the only one I know that's doing it this radical, with no petrol. This is the main tool, this is the plough. It's called a hoe. In Africa, they do it, hoe farming. And I'm the tractor. That's what I explained to them. I'm the tractor, this is my plough. That I wanted to grow my own cereal and grain crop. They said, oh, you can't do it. You don't have the energy to grow yourself your own food. You need to have a horse. You need to have a horse to do the ploughing. You can't prepare the ground yourself. But logically, that's kind of weird. The human being, like the only animal that can't do its own work for itself, has to have a slave. Has to enslave some poor animal into doing its work for it. And this ground's stony.
Yeah, a lot of rocks in there, huh?
I know, but it's specifically this field. This field is called Stony Field. My idea was that I wanted to, I should have the energy to be able to feed myself. And so my petrol, my fuel, is basically the bread. That's the idea, you know. I'm working the land to grow some rye. I eat the bread. I've got my energy to work the land. And so it's a completely short, you know, micro cycle. It's like I'm planting a tree and my grandchildren's generation is going to chop it down and going to have a house, something to live for. It's hazelnuts. This one's got a hole in it, but this one's got all the first ones have got holes, but I'm a nut king with this. These are basically, I planted them special for big nut varieties. We'll stash it there in the thatch shed, your umbrella.
Oh, wow, that's cool. The thatch shed.
This is where we're having lunch, you know. This is called the village square. Yeah, just so you know the name. But basically, this is where we have a fire. In winter, we have a fire here every evening. We don't work hard, you see. We only do the garden in the afternoons.
You don't work hard?
Really don't. Farming's too easy. This is what people don't understand. The problem with farming is it's too easy. And I think maybe, you know, we'd have all been happier as hunter-gatherers. But the farmer is just so easy, and you make huge reserves, and you've got too much spare time. And so then you go and fight your neighbour and stuff like that. And if you're just having to get your food every day, you don't have time, do you, to fight the other human beings.
How do you get along with your neighbours?
I actually get on well with my farming neighbours. The neighbours I get on best with are my farming neighbours, strangely. You know, they've got farms like 200 acres. Not the same style of farming as me, but...
What do they think of your style?
A scepticism at first, but I think a lot of mutual respect. I think there's a certain bond between people that like to, you know, get wet in the rain.
You guys all have wet feet.
Yeah, I don't have wet feet. I've got dry feet.
What do you do in here? You put the straw in there?
Yeah, the thing about clogs are, because they're wood, they're not supple. You know, so they always make them bigger than what your foot is. So I'm 43, this is a 44 size clog.
Can you show us what's going on here?
And,
okay.
And basically you need to, I mean, I've got 6 socks, but the idea is that you get a bit of straw. This is perfect, you know, the thing is, I've got some rubber boots and I've got some other shoes, but I'm really getting converted to clogs because I get chilblains on my feet in the winter. And rubber boots are just the worst because your feet can't breathe and your feet get cold in them. But, I mean, I keep adding the straw all the time, but the idea is you shove in a bit there and you put in your foot, and then you can do all sorts of japes and tricks, you know. The idea is that you can even climb a tree with it. It's like all shoes. You just have to get used to it, you know. So I grow the rye, so the rye's for my bread, and the best straw for thatching is rye straw. So I get my bread and I get a roof. And that's what they say, you know, modern farming is more efficient than traditional farming. But it's not necessarily true, because in modern farming, you have to get the tin for the roof or the slate for the roof from elsewhere. And I get the roof from my field. So you've got to add that, you know. Obviously, my harvest is less. The harvest of grain is less than what they'd get in a conventional field. But I also get my roof. The Greek philosopher Diogenes used to walk through the market of Athens with a lantern in daytime, saying, I'm looking for an honest man. To me, I'm doing the same thing. I'm looking for an honest man.
Did you find him?
I definitely am. I'm hoping to find one in your video. That's why you're here. This is tools. Like old spaces, it clutters up, but that's a traditional clog making.
That's how you're making your clogs?
Yeah, but these ones that I haven't made, I'm still learning how to make them. But I'd make a few every year, but that's, yeah, to hollow the clog.
How many clog makers do you think are left in France?
Ooh, very, 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 very few. In Brittany, in our area, I think there were 2 maybe. It's just some really old men. Traditional clog makers. It's just dead. It's just.
Do you feel
dead.
like in Brittany a lot of this older culture is going away, or are the traditions being passed on and the young people are carrying on some of it?
Things just dying like I think the story's the same everywhere. There might be 1 or 2 people learning, younger people, but it's not as fast as the older people dying and the knowledge being lost. I mean, you can try and get fake hope, you know, by focusing on 1 or 2 younger people, but the overall picture is just all going in one direction, in my opinion. I mean, it's off the edge of the cliff.
Are the young people all moving to the cities here?
Yeah, I mean, at the same time, there are young people moving to the countryside.
Okay, but the people moving to the countryside have their jobs online, like me, right? They can work from their computer?
Yeah. Some of them, yeah, with the remote working. Yeah, that's been a big thing. But others, no money, no job, and just got fed up with it and trying to make something work.
I mean, the way you live is inexpensive, but is it pretty inexpensive to live out here?
Relatively, presumably, particularly the property, but it still takes money. People have this sort of idea of living on no money. A lot of people, when they see me, they want to plaster this on me as a concept. Samuel lives with no money. But it's just completely fake. It's not true. You can't, I don't really, you can't really live with no money, practically. And I don't want to because, you've got to be part of what's going on, in my opinion. I want to carry my voice loud and high across the world, to show you there's another... I've started doing books about how we farm. Maybe it's not actually a problem, the money, but I think it's a problem that we've become dependent. I felt dependent on the food industry, on the energy industry, and I wasn't necessarily in agreement with every element of it,
Okay. So wouldn't it be fair to say that we're dependent on resources? And money is just a way of getting...
Exactly.
Efficient way to get those resources is using money.
Yeah. But the resources, it's a false dependence. This is what I felt like a stranger, and I couldn't live without petrol and plastic and as a human being, I hadn't been made. Oh, as a human being, I'm dependent on food. I need to eat or I'm dead. With petrol, that's not the case. I don't want to be dependent on a system and a chain that I think is destructive to the planet, but also to human beings. I think we are actually nature. It's not just bad for the bees and the nature, and it's actually bad for us. 30 years ago when we arrived, my dad built a modern house with electric and running water, and you see, in a building like this, if you put a book in it, it gets damp. A computer would destroy a computer in like a few months. It would get too damp. I think you've got to be practical. You need a modern space, even though I find modern spaces ugly. And I think when I got to be about 16, we had these two ruins that someone sold us for like a few €100, I think. You can see you've just got clay, no cement, just clay mortar.
Yeah.
Just rocks, basically rocks from the fields, mud basically as the mortar, and wood and slate on the roof. That was the building. Traditionally, it would have been thatch. It's just completely in harmony. It was this idea that just kept bugging me of, as a human being, why do I need to build myself this huge fortress against nature of concrete? And you go and buy all these products that basically destroys the fertility of the soil. But as a human being, what do you live on? You live thanks to the fertility of the soil. I didn't know anything about traditional building or anything, so I tried to do this. We took it down and built it back up the same side.
You made this?
Yeah, we did the whole thing.
Slate roof with a skylight? That is cool.
I took it down, I built it back up, and I kind of felt that I'd built it up less good than what I'd taken down. That other house was in a pursuit, really, of doing something that was more genuinely ecological. This is my seed production.
Oh, yeah.
I'm drying out all my seeds.
So all from the property?
Yeah, except the parsnip, barley, orge, naked barley, that is. Orge, new. Broad beans, rocket, arugula.
So every day, all the food you're eating comes from your property, or are you taking anything from the surrounding area?
The thing is, I live with my sister and my dad. I'm probably the most fanatical. If I'm living by myself, the answer would be yeah. People like different things. It's good. I think a bit of flexibility is good. I'm too extreme. I'm too radical. It normalizes me. That's my amaranth. It was a grain of the Aztecs. You'll see it in the garden. It's a great plant.
Do you think small farms are under threat in France?
You've got farms that are like 200 acres, 300 acres. All the pressure's on them getting, bigger.
Like this guy out here.
Yeah, he doesn't even know if he's going to be able to pass it on to his son, I think there's a really big change going on where the family farm is just disappearing really, really fast.
So the bigger conglomerates, the bigger farms are just buying up the smaller?
It hasn't really happened here, but they're talking about it. Corporations owned by the Chinese. It's just all being kept afloat by government money. That's the problem. The French farms just lose money.
Okay.
And the government just keeps them afloat. But at the same time, you've got these, we call them neo-rurals. Okay. And people coming from the town who want to live on the land. My neighbour here, he just sells milk and he sells it to the co-op, and they just mix it with all the other milk, and some of it goes as baby formula in China. They've got a factory 15 minutes away. So it's not at all local, you know. And then near rurals who are from the town, they have these small farms, a few cows, a few chickens, and they go and they do the local markets.
Okay.
So the local markets are booming, really, with like local small-scale producers.
Oh, great. That's cool.
So that's where I get my butter from, that's where I get my cheese. You know, it's a network, it's a nice network.
So this is the neighborhood.
Yeah. Just can't resist those blackberries, you know. Got one.
Yeah. Thank you.
When they come off with that little, you know that it's they've got a green bottom. And also you've got to make, you know, look at the bottom of your blackberry, and if it's green, then it's good. In our village, we've got 3 different families. So that's the neighbour, and that's another neighbour. When I was young, you know, I used to walk this walk every day, me and my sisters, before I started farming. And just every year you just see less people, bigger fields.
Nobody's out here.
Less trees, exactly. Less trees, less hedgerows.
So there were kids back here in the day?
Not kids, but there were old retired farmers, but still doing a bit of work. Now it's just machines, you know. It just, to me, it's just a landscape. I can see to some people it's still quite idyllic. The fields are quite small, you've got hedgerows, but in 30 years, it's just less, to me, it's just less loved, you know. It's got less people loving it.
So this was the old town center, or hamlet, as you say?
Yeah, it was a hamlet, yeah. There used to be several farms here.
And a new home.
That's a new home. It's finally starting to move a bit, the whole thing, but this was, used to be 60 or 70 people, I believe. A lot of houses, if you go into the brambles, into the undergrowth, you find a lot more buildings.
60 to 70 people living back here?
Yeah, because the families were big, you know, the family of the day, 8 or 9 kids.
So these were all separate apartments?
Yeah, each house is its, I mean, you have to count the chimneys, really.
And this is a cool structure. That's
These.
nice, yeah.
This is the traditional architecture, it's stones from the fields. But yeah, they're lovely buildings.
Someone's living here now. There's a skylight open.
Yeah, it's a second home. They come back once or twice a year.
Samuel, do you feel like you're missing out on anything? Like when you're 80, you're gonna be on the same plot of land?
That's the plan, yeah.
You said push you a little, so that was
Yeah.
a little pushy question.
No, I want to push.
It's a little pushy question.
I want to be pushed.
You sure you're doing the right thing, Samuel? You sure you're on the right
Exactly.
plan? On the right trajectory?
But I think these are questions you should ask yourself all the time, and I do, you know. And it's kind of weird because I don't know, I just kind of feel I'm approaching 40. And when you get to be 40, but even at 35, you're halfway to 70, you know. I don't know, when you're 20, you've got this mystical idea of how you're going to make it all right, you know. Everything's like, you don't know how, and you get to be 37 or something, you think, you know, I've had half my life. I could almost work out how many sorts of cans of beans I was going to consume now for the rest of my life. I could work it out, you know.
That's depressing.
You know, I don't, but you know how many bags of rye I'm gonna have for the rest of my life, because you've gone halfway. I don't know. I just got, you know, it happened to me recently with the age thing. I'm actually starting to feel, you know, I see people who are 20. I'm actually starting to feel older. I've always been the little one in the house, you know. I think I've always had this idea of being the little one, but I haven't got kids. But I've moved up a generation. You know, people are looking at me, you know, hoping for some inspiration, for some guidance. Like I looked at people older than me, hoping I was going to get some ideas, you know, for what the hell to do with in life. That's the oven. I built this, my third attempt. I built 2 ovens before, but I couldn't get the air to circulate right. And so I put the dough in and it just stayed as dough. Then finally I just measured my neighbour's oven. It takes 1.5 hours to 2 hours to heat and 45 minutes to cook the bread. I do it every 2 or 3 weeks. But I freeze some of my bread because I don't want to do it every week.
So if all the supply chains stopped, things stop, society stops.
Society completely stops. Basically, the lorries stop on the road.
The lorries stop, the electricity stops, the internet
So
stops.
I'm freaking out in my head, but I'm doing okay, yeah.
How long would you last?
Well, I'd go all the way, wouldn't I? That's the idea. It'd be a gamble because I think that I'd need other people. But potentially, if everything stopped, a few people might think, Samuel's got an idea. Or some people, though, I think they're planning on coming and robbing my stores when it stops. A few people have mentioned that.
What do you mean?
Well, they just say, well, it's good to know where you've got your rice stored, Samuel, and your potatoes. I'll come and get some if everything stops.
Right. That is a reality I think most people don't like. Like, there's this sort of this romantic notion of like, I can self-sustain, right?
Yeah.
And I'm totally on my own and the world stops, I'm good out here. But you're right. Once that happens, you got the goods and someone else doesn't.
Exactly.
They're coming for you.
And then,
right?
and then you think, well, what I'm lacking is a gun and some ammunition, you know, to shoot the people that are trying to steal my stores. But you're never going to survive alone. And so what you've got to do is share. In my opinion, the plan is share what I've got.
You have to be close with all of your neighbors.
Yeah.
The community has to be very tight.
But yeah, this is my my next step. You know, I just feel too vulnerable. Even though I get on with my neighbours, to me, I want, you know, together, together we'll survive. That was all last night's rain. Impressive, eh? This is the potatoes, and guess what's under here? Oof. Something I do to all American YouTubers. I bury them and make a little mound on top.
Oh, cool. So I got to join?
No, it's my potato crop. All the potatoes are there, and I've covered it with straw and earth. So I've got enough potato there to last me until up to May next year, you know. I've got 10 months of potatoes or something. This is the vegetable garden.
Oh, nice.
This is a fine sight. What we're going to do, we're going to get a cucumber for lunch. It's actually been a really hard year, being really cold and really damp. And this is good. This is really nice stuff. This is salad.
So growing up out here, did you go to the local school or
No.
homeschooled?
I was homeschooled, yeah. Looked round the school, but teacher scared me.
Teacher scared you, why?
Because she took me in her arms and said in English, "I will not eat you, little boy." I burst into tears and that was it.
Okay, so you never went to school here in France?
Nope. Well, I didn't learn French until didn't interest me. I learned French, I think, when I was 16 or something.
Do you speak perfect French?
I speak good French, but with a funny accent.
So what do you think of French culture?
I think it's dead. I think all culture's dead. I think the soil's dead. Culture comes from living in an area and cultivating the ground, and that's what gives you differences. Now we make a big fuss about culture and preserving culture, but when the soil's dead, it's like a tree that's got no roots. I think we should just face it, you know, culture's dead if we can't go back to the soil.
So what do you mean by that? Because I'm traveling through Brittany and I'm seeing many farms that have nice looking crops.
It's just growing with fertilizer. If you stop the fertilizer, you're just seeing gas, Peter. To me, it's just, you know, the fertilizer comes from the gas. You know, everything we see, our clothes are made from petrol. Our houses basically are made from synthetic materials. And our food is just grown there thanks to the petrochemical industry.
So we're at roughly 8 billion people in the world, right? How do you expect the world to feed itself without fertilizer?
Well, at the moment, the world doesn't want to feed itself without petrochemicals.
Right.
So I'm not here to impose anything on anybody. I don't want to feed myself on petrochemicals, and I found a solution. This is beetroot, parsnip, cabbages, spinach, parsley.
What is this?
Amaranth. It's beautiful, look. You know, it's like quinoa, but little.
Okay, so that's a grain.
That's a grain, and I'm kind of trialing it.
Smells good.
You're not smelling, I think you're smelling coriander.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Oh, that smells so good.
That smells so good, yeah. That's cilantro, you know, too.
It smells so good out here.
And if you like eating blue, then borage flowers, though, I love blue flowers. Anything blue is good. Not a lot of food is blue. And can you see the plant behind?
Uh-huh.
That's quinoa. Thing we're going on there. a gourmet trip.
Is that a poppy?
Yeah.
What else you got going on out here?
People like to make jokes at me when they steal my poppy, but... For lunch, we're going to try something really good fun, and we're going to try grilling corn in its sheath on the fire. This is really good. You just stick this in the fire, and it'll cook without burning. And we're just going to do one or two, just as a little extra for our meal. This is how we fertilise the garden, is with all this stuff.
So you don't use cow dung?
Haven't got cows. People want to talk about vegan farming. Vegan farming is technically when you don't use manure. But how does the grass get into the end up in the soil? It's lots of little bacteria eating it and, you know, spewing it out. And so it's not vegan, it's just lots of little animals rather than one big one. The same process, it just takes longer. I'd have lost all my credibility if people hadn't seen leeks in my garden. Leek soup in winter. It's been a Celtic fuel since prehistoric times. In Brittany, they've got a Celtic language, which is called Breton. Traditionally, 100 years ago, they didn't speak French in Brittany. They spoke Breton. And it's distinctly different. It's not a Latin language, it's a Celtic language. It's almost identical to Cornish, very similar to Welsh. Brittany's been attached to France for several hundred years. So there's a long history of being a region of France, but 100 years ago, hardly anything French came in. We're a real backwater. Basically, Brittany, if you look at the map, it's a dead end. It's a peninsula sticking out. Nobody went through it. So basically, nobody bothered us. And so a lot of the old traditions.
So how is Brittany perceived by other French people outside of the region? What is it looked at? Are you guys like the hillbillies out here?
Yeah, it's actually one of the regions of France that people move to the most.
Oh, okay.
Because it's got a positive identity. It's still France, but it's actually got a lot more culture. Now this is like really old. You can see this well is really old. It's just made with 4 stones. And you can see the way that stone's been worn away there. In winter, the water runs over it, but it's like
How
really
old do you think this is?
It's hard to tell. I think a lot of stuff here does date back to before the Romans, you know. It's like, because you've got the megalithic culture of the menhirs and the dolmens, which goes like 6,000 or 7,000 years ago. And I think that a lot of the banks and the sunken pathways actually date back to that era. You've got Stonehenge, you've got a lot of stone stuff in Great Britain, but the biggest concentration is in southern Brittany, in Carnac, and they've got rows, the alignment, they've got rows of thousands of stones. All the top 10 tallest stones, more or less, are all in Brittany. And they've got the most stones, so it was obviously the centre of the megalithic culture. You know, I was a big fan of, before I got into farming, I had to visit every single standing stone in Brittany. But I think I liked them because it was just an idea of another reality. No one knows why they built them. You know, it's completely forgotten. The Romans just wiped out all the, you know, the tribes, so nobody knows. So there's something mysterious, and to me they're beautiful. You know, I'm always in search of beauty. This is a cider shed. They're all a mess. This is my swallows. I've got some babies in there. This is what nobody gets to see.
Oh, that's the cider.
Yeah, this is the cider. That's why I'm there.
Okay.
That's empty. It's all almost empty. I'm making cider probably next month, but that's empty. This one's where we're drinking. This one's full.
Do you drink a lot of cider?
I like to drink it while I'm working. I find it goes really well with manual work.
Do you get like a nice, gentle little buzz?
I don't drink to get drunk. I drink to hydrate. Breton spring water's got a bad reputation because of all the nitrates in it. And so I just reckon that cider is filtered water because it's filtered by the apple tree. The tree takes up the water, puts it in the apple drops down, you crush the apple, you get the juice, you stick it in the barrel. It's 100% apple juice and sugar goes off, so it's even better for you because it's too sugary otherwise. Just a really, really
What's
healthy
the
drink.
alcohol content?
About the same as beer, 5
Okay.
or 6. It's not strong. You can have about a litre a day, you know, easy.
Okay, so this is where your father and sister lives?
Yeah, and I live here part-time, half and half, you know.
Hello.
Hello. Oh, this is great.
A bit of luxury. Best I'll cook something nice.
Yeah, I cooked this nice tart.
Oh, it smells so good.
Like strawberry jam.
Yes. Thank you. Oh, this is beautiful. Your fireplace.
Yeah, Dad built it all.
Did your father build this place or it came
All of
like
it.
he built it
All of it, yeah.
by himself?
Yes.
What do you think people don't understand about this lifestyle?
I think that people have been told lots of things about their education which aren't true.
Like what?
Like, people in the past had a really bad time. And obviously really bad things did happen in the past, and people did die, and loads of bad things. But you don't convey, when you say that, the fact that it's just really, really nice to have fresh air. And you can say that really quickly, fresh air. But actually, it's a huge, huge thing. Or to hear birds singing. And all these people we think of in the past with the plague and the Middle Ages and everything, they were having so much nature around them, birds and fresh air and pure water, and particularly in the countryside.
Yeah, if you're out of the cities.
Obviously they had the plague in the towns and stuff. But hardly anyone was in the towns back then. But it's interesting in Brittany because it's one of the areas of Europe where they modernised and industrialised the last. There used to be lots of Americans who used to come here, and they used to write articles and journals and books about it. Back in the beginning of the 1900s, because it was so incredibly old-fashioned, and people would be doing things which it was like the Middle Ages. I mean, even now today in Brittany, you can meet someone who's in their 70s and they would have looked after the cows in the fields when they were young, or they've been born in a house with a dirt floor. It's really surprising because they look completely modern, and yet for them they're like, oh yeah, I wasn't born in a hospital. I was born in one of these they're called Lee Clo, box beds. They used to have them in Scotland as well, with wooden doors that open and close on them. If you don't have money and you're in the countryside, you're not necessarily poor. You can have masses and masses of stuff that you grow. More stuff than you ever imagined you could have in the town. And that's what people used to know. The peasants were the rich ones, and the rich people were always trying to get, the aristocrats were trying to get their stuff off them all the time. That's where the wealth all comes from, is the land. But it's like people don't tell you that. You're actually in the town, you're completely reliant on them, on the system, for everything.
Well, we're all reliant on our food source.
Yeah, and clothes. If you start thinking about clothes, it's just a whole area of complete madness.
Okay, so do you feel like you have more freedom just by being close to your food?
Yeah, a bit, but I mean, if you just start really thinking about things, you know that anything crazy could happen any minute. It's like drones or nuclear explosions, or I wouldn't say I felt particularly cocky, but I think it's more like day to day. It's nice to have your own things to eat because it's so nice more than anything else. It's a pleasure to prepare them and pick them. It's more just like trying to have a good time every day, I think, really.
What do you think about the direction the world is going in? That's a wide question.
I think we should be very worried about the children. I think the children are not in a good state. They're not being looked after properly.
How so?
They're not getting enough healthy adult input, I think. And so as a child, if you don't have healthy adult input, you can't develop properly. I mean, I was lucky because my parents spent a lot of time with me. And you just need it. People talk a lot about it's good for children to play together, and that is nice. But it's also very, very special for them to spend time with adults, and also older children. I mean, I got a lot out of spending time with my little brother and sister, because I didn't go to school. And it was because I did go to school till I was 9, and then I left. And it was a huge thing. At the beginning, it was so boring playing with little children. Everything they did, it was just like, they couldn't do anything. They were really little. I couldn't do anything. It was so boring playing with them in comparison to my friends, so-called friends at school. But then after a bit, I thought, there's a whole dynamic here because they're looking up to me and I can help them do stuff. Because I was the youngest one in my school, so it was like, I was sort of a bit stupid. Suddenly I was really important. And it was just really fun having to look after some little children. And people don't talk about that much.
You think that's missing now?
I really do. I really do. I think human society isn't doing very well. And I think the world itself is fantastic, but humans are doing silly things to it all the time. And human beings a lot of them aren't in a very good way.
How do you think that changes?
How do you think that could change? It's a good question. I guess it would have to be down to people thinking for themselves a bit more, maybe.
I'm trying to get it boiled. Once it's boiled, 10 minutes, and then it's good. The basic art is getting it boiled. But yeah, the meal plan is boiled potatoes. Well, it's walnuts to start off with, bread and cheese and butter, cucumber. So we've got to, the idea that you have a drink and then you can cheers and everything, and it's social. I never tasted this. I don't know if it needs watering down or what, but
Yeah, thanks for getting me the juice since I don't drink booze.
you can be the first to try it. I'm going to pour myself some more cider because so that's
Yeah.
Cheers.
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 Cheers, mate.
Drink
Oh, yeah.
walnuts.
That's nice. What inspired you to pack up from your country? I see where Samuel got it from, but
I like to think of it more being like a United States of Europe. So it's more like moving from Washington to Oregon or something like that.
oh, okay.
Not everybody likes to see it that way.
So when you came here, it was super inexpensive.
Still is, really.
Still is.
Still is. It's 4,000 a hectare, but you're not allowed to live on it. You can't build a house on it.
You have to take a pre-existing home.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's why it's so inexpensive.
yeah, you can't, yeah.
Is it hard to live this lifestyle in this country?
In this country, basically the French identity is being a small-scale farmer. That is the ultimate French identity.
Okay.
And therefore everybody, in theory, supports everyone that's doing it. When the farmers, even though they've moved a long way from what we're doing, they've got big tractors and big machines. When they go on the news and say, look, life isn't fair, we're not being paid enough, they just get 100% support, more or less, from the French population, because France sees itself as a farming nation, even though it's only actually 2%, apparently, of people that make their living through farming now. It was only 70 years ago when it was probably 70%.
So with the small farms that go, the culture goes with it to some degree. Fair to say, or?
Fair to say. When we moved here, there were a few farms that were very small, and the farmers were speaking Breton. They weren't really French speakers.
And that was only 30 years ago,
That
right?
was only 30
Everyone
years ago.
gets
They
some
were just
shares.
on the edge of retirement. I think it's just the nature of the modern world is that most cultures are being sort of levelled. They're becoming one culture. Everybody's got the same smartphones. People have got the same apps on the smartphones. That's the culture, isn't it?
This is just the best bread.
From the garden.
Yeah, you're never going to get, I can't see how you're going to get a bread more authentic than this in the Western world. The grain is grown by hand, 100%, harvested by hand, it's threshed by hand. A little bit of nuclear energy for milling the flour and cooked in a bread oven.
So this is natural butter from the village, correct?
Yeah.
And cheese,
Yeah.
all local,
Cheese with seaweed.
with seaweed. Okay.
It's really good. You come to France, you're not going to have a lot of wine, but you can have a lot of cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Wine in France, wine and cheese.
Okay.
It's good. got 6 hours to radicalise Peter, you know. That's my ambition, you know. I've seen ahead a lot of stuff, but
You're gonna radicalize me?
I'm just hoping to, radicalise you. I think real freedom. I think freedom. I just can't. I can't see how you can really get it unless you put a bit of land, you know. And obviously you've got the rules in place in the country, but when you've got your own bit of land, you don't really need to listen to all the stuff that's going on, do you? Because you've got everything you need.
Is this a normal occurrence? You're eating like this with a pie at the end?
Every time a YouTuber comes, I give them a pie.
I hardly ever make pies.
This is why I have to work hard to get YouTubers to come.
All right, strawberry, right?
Mm-hmm.
Good, eh?
That's very good. Where do you get the sugar from?
Shop.
Okay.
We used to have bees and have honey, but they just died.
You've got to do a few things so people don't think you're so radical and obsessive. And buying sugar is one of them. I'm going to bore you. I'm going to talk about my tools, but then at least I've done it. At least I've done it.
You feel like you have to, don't you?
To me, that's what's interesting. I'd just be ashamed if you'd come all the way and you had, filmed it and I hadn't talked to you about the thing I thought was interesting. I was waiting for you to ask me. You haven't asked me. You've asked me if there's anything I'm interested in. I'm going to talk about it, but I kind of get this feeling when I'm talking to people about it. You don't get it.
I've just been saving the best for last. I really want to know what your tools are like.
Yeah, but say it in a more convincing way, Peter. A second chance.
I love tools.
It's not the tool that's interesting, it's what the tool can do with what's interesting,
I
Peter.
agree.
But this is
The sickle.
bill hook, wrong. It looks like a sickle, but if you felt it, it's heavy. It's twice
Are you
as
gonna try? Are you gonna try it on me? Is that what you're doing?
It would go through too easy, it wouldn't be worth it. But no, I'll show you a sickle and you'll see the difference. I mean, it's similar shape, but this is I really light. No, I was going to give it to you to try, just to feel how light it was, but I wasn't going to try it on you.
Okay. So can I give a whack?
Yeah, but it's a left-handed sickle. But yeah, don't get my flowers, but give a whack here. There you go, presto. And this, you can feel it, Bill. Don't give a whack, don't give a whack. It's just for wood.
Okay.
But but I'll give it a whack. The sickle it's basically for cutting brambles, brushwood, grass. This stuff's looking messy, and the idea is you hold the vegetation with the forked stick, and you get to it.
Oh, that's nice.
So yeah, you can see that's a really ancient tool, and this is got it for my 16th birthday, and it's still the same. Handle's getting worn, but the blade's still good. That's the winter activity.
Making the baskets?
Yeah, basket making.
Just for carrying stuff around here?
Yeah. This is actually nuts. That's freedom. Imagine how many calories you got in those nuts. That's rye. For people who don't know what rye is, that's rye. I like people, but I don't like going out because I don't like the world I go into. So the long-term plan is the world to come to me. So I don't need to go out. That'd be my ideal world. I stay at home, the world comes to me, like you. If I have people coming round, I probably won't go out.
And so you have courses here sometimes, right?
Yeah, that's the latest
and greatest
project. Well, it's the latest project because I think it's a logical follow-on. But up till now, I haven't really felt to have had... It's easy to say you do a course, but if you've got nothing to teach, I believe in free courses. I believe in free teaching.
Okay, you want people to come?
I want people to come, but I don't want them to pay. I think it should be free.
I'm going to leave that link down below here, guys. Samuel's free courses.
Yeah.
They might not always be free, though, I'm guessing.
They're always going to be free.
Always?
They're always going to be free, but...
Careful what you wish for.
No, but they've got to be free because for me, it's a family. If I teach people, it's my family. It's not about money. It's about love. Okay. And it's like time that I'm investing in people for a future. And that's it. That's the idea. And it'd be the same project if I had my kids. I wouldn't make them pay me. If I wouldn't make my wife pay me, it would be love. And that's why. But it's not obviously it's free. But you've got to be interested.
Don't be dead weight.
Not just curious, because we haven't got time to waste. We've got a future to make, you know.
Okay.
This is the office. It's a mess. And there you go, that's technology. Just going to print out some books upstairs.
Some books.
Yeah, some books, because we do books. Because the idea of just having a garden to feed myself, it doesn't really inspire me. It wouldn't inspire me to go out there, and just my stomach isn't enough to motivate me, you know. I just like to stir the pot, you know, and cause mischief. And I call it causing mischief. Other people could say, you know, you're inspiring people or whatever, but I don't know if I'm inspiring or if I'm just causing mischief. But the idea is that I do books, with my dad and my sister, we do books to explaining how we work. Because it's quite radical, you know, the fact we're feeding ourselves, we're not selling it, we're working by hand. You print the book ourselves and we make it up ourselves. It's like, I like to call it a product of the farm.
You print it here?
Yeah. And I have to open up the file, and then I'm going to start printing and take off my hat because I'm indoors. And here we go.
21st century hoe farming.
Yeah, an antidote to globalization. So this is a book, you know, this is a finished book. And
oh, cool, you have artwork in there.
yeah, because my dad writes and I draw, so it's kind of combination of the two. That's my character. Clearing
The tools.
a patch of ground. That's my tools, exactly. Yeah, my dad likes to write. I'm anti-text. I learned to read and write late, you know. I'm waging an anti-written word campaign crusade. So I just try and draw with the minimum amount of writing. So yeah, we've got about 5 books. The rest of them are in French at the moment. We've sold almost all our books in France.
So you hand make all of your books you sell?
Yeah. The thing is, the idea, I'm sort of selling parts of myself. I think that's what's interesting. Today you've got a lot of books that are just really nicely printed, quite commercial looking. And I think when I buy a book, I'm interested in the person, you know. It's I think people are interested in people. You're not just interested in an idea necessarily, you're interested in people. And I want people to know that there's somebody real behind the book. And if they like it, then they can come and learn more, you know, find out more about what we're doing. And that's the... there you go.
That's so cool.
We've also got an English language newsletter, The Subsistence Gardener. That's free. That's on the website.
Cool.
Comes out every month.
Cool. That link's below in this video too. I'm gonna leave that there. Is this your journal?
Yeah.
That is so cool.
That's last month's. We've been doing this. You know, you can see basically we've got
okay, so you
lot
have
of
advertisers in
yeah,
there.
we've got.
Okay.
And that's for local craftsmen and women, you know, it's local craftsmen.
A lot of it's in English though.
It's all in English, yeah.
So there are enough English speakers out here where that works?
Yeah. It's a niche business, but we print 2,000 now. We used to do 4,000 a month. Seeing that we've been doing it for years and years, it's everybody, if you go into a house for a British person, they've all got it's a bit of a Bible, you know. And that's my collection of, I did a car boot sale and we stopped with COVID, but that's where I got all my tools from.
I love your artwork. This is all your work?
Yeah.
Wow, it's beautiful.
When people ask me what I do, you know, for me, I am a farmer. It's like, it's just my hobby, but I am a farmer because it's who I am. But I'm not making a fantasy that I can make a bubble and I don't need money. Obviously, I need money.
Okay, so the graphic designing, selling books, and your newsletter is how you make your money.
Yeah, exactly. Graphic design for myself and my dad, you know. I don't tend to do it for other people. Occasionally, I'm not good at working for other people. When I do it for them, they don't like it. And when I do it for myself, they love it. You know, that's what I want to advise people, is don't try and make your money from the land. The land is love. Enjoy it. But don't try and make your money from it. But you need some money, so find another way, you know. And there are 1,000, you know, there are 1,000 things that need to be done. But at the moment, the main thing is the magazine and then the books.
So someone would want to buy this if they want to get in. Is this sort of a how-to book?
Yeah. But more than anything else, I want to motivate people. I think everybody finds their own way, everyone's living in their own place, but it gives a reason why it's a logical thing to do is have a garden, why it is an antidote to globalization.
Can you ship to the United States?
Yeah, there's a great shipping rate from France.
Okay, so any of you out there that want this very cool looking book and to get closer to Samuel's world, link down below, right?
Ho-farming.com.
Ho-farming.com.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, anything else you want to say?
And yeah, all the information's on there, how, where we are, how to get the book, the newsletter. And
Okay.
what I want to say, it's just been a fantastic experience, with my first sort of visit from an American YouTuber.
Thank you.
And so I'm just, I'm just going to see what we're going to get back from it, But I was excited about this for a month, so it's been great.
No, this has been cool. Thank you for bringing us into your world. It's something I admire and respect very much, and I think a lot of my viewers out here do too. All right, guys, thanks for coming on that journey.
See you next time when Peter's back here to see the progress.
That's right. Until the next one.